Today on Rappler, pork barrel scam whistleblower Ben Hurluy tells a tale of collusion with lawmakers to siphon development funds. How did Napoles build her empire using fake NGOs and government connections? And Nur Miswari disowns the Zamboanga siege. Hello, I'm Maria Ressa. Welcome to Rappler, your social news network. This just in. At least 80 armed followers of Moro National Liberation Front founder Nur Miswari surrendered Thursday evening to police troops just a little over an hour and a half ago. One of the hostages they brought with them is Catholic priest Father Michael Ufana, who was held hostage Tuesday in Barangay Santa Caterina. The number of surrenderies is about half the estimated 200 MNLF troops who are still in holdout in the coastal outskirts of Zamboanga City. They are all from Basilan. But police intelligence sources on the ground tell Rappler they surrendered to a team of the Philippine National Police and the Presidential Anti-Organized Crime Commission, as well as the Presidential Anti-Crime Task Force. According to the same sources, quote, a certain member of MNLF under Commander Ismael with white flag reached our position and negotiated their surrender. About 80 of them are armed and one is wounded. The sources said Father Ufana is now in police custody. The leader of the MNLF surrenderies is Commander George Ismael, father-in-law of a former town mayor in Basilan. Rappler learned Thursday morning that one of those who initiated the talks for their surrender is Governor Mujib Hataman of the Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. He is also from Basilan. Moving back to Manila, in a surprise appearance, pork barrel scam whistleblower Ben Hurluy faces the Senate with details of the corruption and collusion between Janet Napoles and lawmakers. Ai Makaraig reports.
I am inclined to reconsider my initial stance on the matter. Maybe it is after all in the public interest to hear a representative voice from the whistleblowers.
The sudden appearance of principal whistleblower Ben Hurluy stuns the Senate gallery. But what's more stunning are his tales of corruption. He says his cousin Janet Napoles, the alleged queen of the pork barrel scam, perfected her system through her extensive network of government contacts. Louis says as Napoles' trusted aide, he saw how the release of development funds was rigged from the beginning.
No? So ang nangyayari po ay, okay, bibili ni Miss Napoles ang PDAF, or sometimes yung mga lawmakers tumatawag sa kanya, magsasubmit na kami ng listing, anong gusto mong gagawin. So may sabi ni Miss Napoles, sige sir, itong tatawag muna ako ng mga agencies kung saan pwede.
Next, Napoles' employees prepare draft endorsement letters they send to the lawmakers' chiefs of staff. These are eventually sent to the Department of Budget and Management, which issues the order for the fund release. At this point, Louis says Napoles begins issuing the so-called rebates.
Tatawag ho kami sa DBM kasi may contact ho po si Miss Napoles, tapos may contact nga ho ang opisina po. So, after nun, dahil may receiving copy na, magbabayad na po si Miss Napoles sa kausap niya. So for example, katulad na nabanggit ko kanina, kung halimbawa usapan nila is 10 million, 50%, so that's 5 million. And then, ang kalakaran po kasi was 50% upon listing, yung listing na sinasubmit, and then another 50% upon SARO.
Louis says Napoles' company secures the funds after preparing documents for the Memorandum of Agreement, and lawmakers endorse the project to the implementing agencies. All parties have a cut in the deal. 50% for the lawmakers, 10% for the implementing agencies, and 40% for Napoles. Many of the projects are purely bogus. Louis says lawmakers and their chiefs of staff actively coordinate with Napoles' employees, frequenting their office to get cash. There were times Louis visited a certain senator at the Senate.
Naalala mo pa kung anong floor kang nakapasyal?
Alam ko yung office na pinuntahan ko.
Anong floor?
Hindi ko matandaan pero alam ko po yung office na pinuntahan ko po.
Hindi mo pwedeng sabihin pangalan. Palayaw. Initial.
Sexy.
Sexy. Sexy ba lalaki o babae?
Lalaki.
Lalaki. Okay.
Nung una po kasi ano siya, mataba daw tapos biglang pumayat kaya sexy na ang tawag namin.
Louis says when the NGOs get the money, employees withdraw it in cold cash.
Kasi syempre hindi naman mag-cash siya sa kanyang vault. So ilalagay po namin yung ibang may mga bags na nilalagay namin sa kanyang sa sa bed niya. Tapos sometimes sa bathtub. Doon na namin pinapatong-patong. Kumbaga nasa bag siya.
Senators ask Louis about Napoles' media statements, pointing to another person as the brains in the scam.
Sinasabi ni Miss Napoles, hindi daw siya mastermind. Meron pa daw mas mastermind. May alam ka ba dito?
Wala ho. Siya ang mastermind.
Siya
Kasi siya po yung boss ko.
While Louis refused to name names, De Lima says the lawmakers will soon be known when the Justice Department files the first batch of cases. This early, Senate Blue Ribbon Committee Chairman T.G. Gingona says the lawmakers are liable for plunder. With Ben Hurley's surprise testimony, senators say they've completed the picture of how the pork barrel came from the lawmakers and made its way back to their pockets. Now that the Senate is possibly wrapping up its probe, the controversy shifts from the court of public opinion to the longer and harder battle in court. Ayi Makaraig, Rappler.
Over the course of 10 years, Napoles built up her wealth and government connections, a network spanning lawmakers, cabinet secretaries, and even chiefs of staff. Natasha Gutierrez reports.
As the multi-million pork barrel scam got bigger and bigger, life got better and better for mastermind Janet Lim Napoles. Her former employee turned primary whistleblower Ben Hurloy tells the Senate Napoles connived with lawmakers to channel their pork barrel to her bogus non-governmental organizations. In exchange, they got hefty kickbacks. Loy said when he first worked for Napoles in 2002, her family was already living in high-end Ayala Alabang village and owned expensive cars.
So nung ano ba talaga yung negosyo nito ni Madam? Kasi nung dati, naalala ko pa po, nagbebenta pa kami nung anak niya ng mga sinasamahan ko pa sila nang nagbebenta ng yung mga ballpen,
So medyo close kayo talaga, even before. Nung pamilya ni Miss Napoles?
Yes po.
As a government contractor, Louis says Napoles has contacts in all branches of government, including the Budget Department, the Commission on Audit, the Ombudsman, and implementing agencies.
Kasi nabasa namin sa dyaryo, galante magregalo.
Sa mga kausap niya.
Sa mga parang part of doing business.
Yes po.
Diba,
Pero kami mga empleyado hindi.
Mga mamamahalin na bag sa limbawa.
Yes po.
Sinong bumibili nun? Siya mismo o may inutusan din sa inyo?
Siya mismo.
Lawmakers even went to Napoles' office in Discovery Suites in Pasig to peddle their PDAF for rebates. By late 2006, business was so good, the Napoles started acquiring property. She also expanded her scheme to tap into other government funds outside pork. While Napoles made the most from lawmakers' pork barrel, it was in 2009 that she hit the jackpot. That year, Napoles received 900 million pesos from the Malampaya Fund through the Department of Agrarian Reform. Louis said Napoles had a total of 20 NGOs. 8 dealt with PDAF, while 12 targeted Malampaya. The Malampaya transaction was one of her last major deals. By 2010, the goose that laid the golden egg was under threat. Under the Aquino administration, the DBM tightened its regulations.
May naghigpit po yung
Naghigpit?
Yes po. Kasi may mga requirements na hiningi po ang mga implementing agencies na hirap po din kami makasecure. Pagdating po sa SEC, ang dami rin po hinihingi ng SEC bago po sila mag-issue ng Certificate of Good Standing.
Okay, meron pa rin bang na-abcore ngayon?
Yan ang hindi ko na po alam. Basta itong
Pero wala ka ng transaction na alam.
wala na po. Basta nag-LGUs na po kami.
In 2011, COA started probing anomalies in Napoles' transactions. Employees began talking among themselves, afraid.
Hindi ko din alam na saan ako magsusumbong. Kasi syempre ano ba lang naman ako. Syempre isang simpleng tao lang. Tapos ang magiging kabangga ko si Madam. Tapos very influential pa. But para sa taong bayan, gagawin ko yun.
Napoles' dramatic rags to riches story may reach its climax next week. The National Bureau of Investigation is now preparing to file plunder charges against Napoles and lawmakers involved in the scam. Connections in powerful places and generous gift giving. This was the Napoles formula, the foundation upon which her wealth was built. With just one powerful tell-all, her decade's work comes crashing down. Natasha Gutierrez, Rappler, Manila.
The House of Representatives will remove lawmakers' lump sum discretionary funds from the proposed 2014 budget and distribute the amount to national agencies. On Wednesday, lawmakers agreed to realign their 25.2 billion peso Priority Development Assistance Fund, or PDAF, to 6 line agencies. The Public Works Department gets the biggest amount, 8.82 billion pesos. It's the implementing agency for hard projects like building roads and bridges. Lawmakers earlier justified the retention of discretion over the PDAF by citing the scholars and indigent patients they had to support. But in the realigned PDAF, the smallest amounts go to the Education and Health departments. The Commission on Higher Education gets only 10%, or 2.52 billion pesos, and the Department of Education gets 5%, or 1.26 billion pesos. 15% of the pork barrel will go to the Health Department. House Appropriations Committee Chair Isidro Ungab says lawmakers can still recommend where the funds can be spent, but they cannot command implementing agencies. It's up to the agency to decide whether or not to integrate a lawmaker's proposed project in their budgets. Mortars and sniper fire accompany heavy fighting in Zamboanga City Thursday on day 4 of the standoff between government troops and followers of Moro National Liberation Front founder Nur Miswari. Just a short while ago, we told you about the surrender of at least 80 of the MNLF fighters. Earlier in the day, rebels fire at least 8 mortar rounds at a government-held area. They also burn at least 20 houses in the coastal barangays they occupy, including Barangay Santa Catalina. Military intelligence shows about 200 MNLF members took 180 hostages from residential villages in the city and used villagers roped together as human shields. As of Thursday morning, the siege leaves 12 people dead, displaces more than 13,000 people, and shuts down the city. Miswari's followers are believed to be hiding among at least 80 residents in the coastal villages. They launched the siege in a bid to derail peace talks between the government and the Moro Islamic Liberation Front, a breakaway group of the MNLF, which signed its peace agreement with the government in 1996. MNLF founder Nur Miswari distances himself from the ongoing siege initiated by his followers in Zamboanga City. In a press conference, Zamboanga City Mayor Ben Climaco says she spoke to Miswari over the phone Wednesday night. Climaco says Miswari, quote, disowned the actions of Javier Malik, one of the MNLF commanders leading the attack. But the government stands by its assertion the Miswari faction of the MNLF is behind the siege. Presidential advisor on the peace process, Teresita Deles, earlier said Malik is a known Miswari loyalist. Miswari has not issued any statement to the public since the standoff started 4 days ago. As the Zamboanga siege enters its 4th day, 3 soldiers are wounded in Basilan as government troops trade gunfire with the combined forces of the MNLF and the Abu Sayyaf Group, or ASG. Army spokesman Captain Jefferson Somera says a 2-hour firefight erupts in Lamitan, Basilan Thursday morning. Somera says the troops fought 150 rebel forces in Lamitan's Barangay Colonia. The Philippine National Police adds MNLF members are among the forces in Basilan. For the first time in 16 years, water regulator Metropolitan Manila Sewerage System, or MWSS, cuts water rates. The announcement affects the rates of its East Zone concessionaire Manila Water Corporation and West Zone concessionaire Maynilad. The new rates will be effective October 2013. The rates of Manila Water Corp will go down by 1.45 pesos per cubic meter. Maynilad's rates will go down by 1.29 pesos per cubic meter. Veteran lawyer and former Solicitor General Frank Chavez passed away Wednesday night at the Medical City in Pasig. He was 66 years old. Chavez died after a stroke. He suffered from lymphoma. Chavez was Solicitor General under the Cory Aquino administration. He also founded the Brotherhood of Nationalistic, Involved, and Free Attorneys to combat injustice and oppression under the Marcos regime, representing various human rights victims in pro bono cases. Chavez filed numerous cases against various public officials, the latest a plunder case against former President Gloria Arroyo. UN Security Council envoys from Britain, China, France, Russia, and the United States hold talks on Syrian chemical weapons crisis but reach no agreement. Quoting from a Russian TV interview, AFP reports Syrian President Bashar al-Assad confirms Syria will hand over its chemical weapons, a plan proposed by Russia. A meeting Thursday between U.S. State Secretary John Kerry and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov in Geneva will determine whether the divided council can reach an accord. Kerry and Lavrov will discuss the plan to put Syria's chemical weapons under international supervision and prevent a threatened U.S. military strike. The United States on Wednesday marks the 12th anniversary of the September 11, 2001 attacks, with memorial ceremonies in New York and Washington. In New York, relatives of the 9/11 victims gather at Ground Zero to remember the nearly 3,000 people who died then. The ceremony begins with a moment of silence at 8:46 a.m. when the first hijacked plane smashed into the World Trade Center. Nearly 3,000 people were killed in the attacks on New York, the Pentagon, and in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. President Barack Obama also delivers a speech at the Pentagon.
We pray for the memory of all those taken from us. Nearly 3,000 innocent souls. Our hearts still ache for the futures snatched away, the lives that might have been. Today we remember not only those who died that September day, we pay solemn tribute to more than 6,700 patriots who have given their full measure since, military and civilians. We see their legacy in the friendships they forged, the attacks they prevented, the innocent lives they saved, and in their comrades in Afghanistan who are completing the mission and who by the end of next year will have helped to end this war.
12 years after 9/11, the ties that bind social networks believed to be involved in terrorist activities, Al-Qaeda-linked networks, are also behind the bombings in Mindanao. This global social movement is using the black flag associated with Al-Qaeda as a rallying symbol for their cause. The flag is a symbol of unity that taps into a secret motivation of Al-Qaeda. FBI agent Ali Sufan says the black flag heralds the apocalypse that will bring about the triumph of Islam. The ideology behind the movement is moving through social networks and recruiting members bottom up. If you remember it, last year, you had black flags sprouting up in numerous riots and mob protests across the Middle East, and you had the Benghazi, Libya incident, which killed 4 Americans, including the American ambassador. In the Philippines, Khilafa Islamia, a group that has sprung from the same social network, is said to be headed by Renier Lu Renren Dongon, who has familial ties with the founder of the Abu Sayyaf, Gaddafi Janjalani, and the Jamaah Islamiyah, Al-Qaeda's arm in Southeast Asia. Let's now look at Rappler's Wrap for today, a list of the 10 most important events around the world you shouldn't miss. At number 6, the United Nations says the number of migrants around the world rises above 230 million in 2013. More than half of migrants are living in 10 countries, with the United States the leading host nation. The U.S. is host to 13 million people from Mexico, 2.2 million from China, 2.1 million from India, and 2 million from the Philippines. At number 8, close to 1/4 of men surveyed in a UN report on violence against women in Asia admit raping a woman at least once. 1 in 10 men says he raped a woman, not his partner. Nearly 3/4 of those who committed rape say they did so because of a sense of, quote, sexual entitlement. A second most common reason is entertainment or for fun, followed by the desire to punish. And at number 10, The Guardian reports a woman pretending to be part of a team handling wedding gifts is convicted in Ghana. Emilia Apia stole cash and gifts from a newlywed couple by impersonating a member of the team in charge of the gift table. Church clerks gave her access to envelopes that contained 5,000 pounds, about $7,900 or over 345,000 pesos. The Guardian reports cash gifts and large guest lists are common in Ghana, making them attractive targets for thieves. For the full top 10, visit Rappler.com's The Wrap. Every story on Rappler has a mood meter which gives you 8 emotions to choose from. Click how you feel and your vote comes down to the mood navigator in the middle of the front page that crowdsources the mood of the day. It also gives you the top 10 stories that have affected our readers the most. These stories have gotten the most number of votes on their mood meter. If you take a look today, the Senate hearing is front and center. Ben-Hur Loy created a massive ripple. Senate hearing on pork barrel scam, September 12, 2011. 80% angry, 6% sad. And you have the story that's gotten some movement that happened. This was before the movement that just happened this evening, but Zamboanga Basilan at a standstill, 48% angry, 35% sad. And you know, we just had the surrender of some of the MNLF forces holding hostages, but still, this red contributing to the mood of the day. Today, most people are angry. Well, that is Rappler's newscast for today, Thursday, September 12, 2013. Visit Rappler.com and watch our newscast Monday to Friday. Tell us how you feel on our mood meter and help us crowdsource the mood of the day. I'm Maria Ressa. As we say at Rappler, tomorrow begins today.